Hey everybody, welcome to the 1804 show, chapter 2. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is another episode of 1804 History. Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody who's tuned in, everybody who support me, because if it wasn't for y'all, this would not be possible. But yeah, before I get started with tonight's episode, I want to tell everybody, please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the 1804 Show Chapter 2. Now let's get it. Okay, tonight I'm going to be talking about the first black slave owner in America. His name was Anthony Johnson. And Anthony Johnson was pretty much ruthless. He was, very proud of his title. And I know a lot of people don't know a lot about him because of the narrative that is being placed or was placed in American history about just black people, the only ones who were slaves, and right here wasn't the case. And when we talk about reparations, we have to be very cautious about that because a lot of our ancestors owned slaves too. So we just have to be very careful and very cautious about what we ask for. And then also everybody wasn't slaves. A lot of people don't know what indentured servants is and stuff like that. It's pretty much like the same thing like it is now as far as employment. A lot of people were paid. A lot of people had contracts. A lot of people didn't get paid, and that's why a lot of rebellions happened all across the colonies within the South because a lot of people weren't compensated. So we always fought back. We always defended ourselves. We always defended our civil rights, even back then. So I just wanted to just come on here, give a little brief description about him, then I'm going to come back with my thoughts. Anthony Johnson, born 1600, died 1670, was a black Portuguese known for achieving wealth in the early 17th century colony of Virginia. He was one of the first African Americans who right to own a slave for life was recognized by the Virginia courts. Held at an indentured servant in 1621, he earned his right after several years and was granted land by the colony. So he pretty much was born a slave, and then he ended up acquiring his freedom when he was 21 years old. So he wanted to be a slave owner. And back then, that was the currency. That was the economy, was owning slaves. Pretty much, how it is with cash and this and that, bank account, this and that. The number of slaves you acquire was wealth. And if you own like 50 slaves or 100 slaves and everything like that, you was considered a millionaire around that time. But yeah, later became a tobacco farmer in Maryland. He attained great wealth after completing his term as an indentured servant and has been referred to as the Black Patriarch of the first community of Negro property owners in America. Yeah, so he just was one of them, When we call sellouts and stuff like that, he took pride in being a slave owner and wanted to actually go to the Virginia courts himself and to be labeled and be branded as that. He wanted that job title because he wanted to be a slave owner. So I just tell people this all the time, that just because somebody look like us doesn't mean they for us. And we have to stop attacking everybody who has an opinion and just being very rude and very mean without getting the facts straight, without actually take the time to research things. And it just be a whole lot of haters. It'd be a whole lot of people who just see red and out for blood and just want to go against the grain. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to read an important part real quick. Sometime after 1635, Antonio and Mary concluded the terms of their indentured servitude. Antonio changed his name to Anthony Johnson. So he was born Antonio, but he changed his name to Anthony because Antonio was a Spanish name. So he was a Spanish black man. He wasn't what you consider foundational black American. He was Spanish. So yeah, we also have to be careful about that. Just because you are copper colored doesn't mean you're a black American. So we have to be careful about the people that look like us too, but they're not for us. But yeah, what I was gonna say, okay. Johnson was granted a large plot of farmland by the colonial government after he paid off his contract by his labor. On July 24th, 1651, he acquired 250 acres of land under the head right system by buying the contracts of 5 servants, one of whom was his son Richard Johnson. The head right system worked in such a way that if a man were to bring servants over to the colonies, in this particular case, Johnson bought the 5 servants, he was owed 50 acres a head or servant. The land was located in the Great Creek, which flowed into the river in Northampton County, Virginia. With his own servants, Johnson ran his own tobacco farm. In fact, one of those servants, John Cashapp, would later become one of the first African men to be declared a slave for life. So he pretty much couldn't become a slave after he bought his freedom. Well, become like a free man or a slave owner in his first day of freedom. He had to pretty much work his way up and had to gain a reputation. So people around town, people around public could, take his title seriously because everybody wasn't handpicked for that. You had to have like a brutal reputation, like Suge Knight with Death Row Records. So that's really what it's about. But yeah, him and his wife and his son were pretty much considered free men, and that's a different term within itself, which I'm gonna go into that a little bit later. But yeah, he was also sued because he kept one of his slaves when he was told to get rid of a couple of them. Well, he didn't listen, and then one of the slaves came back and sued him for falsely imprisonment and breach of contract. And I'm trying to find out what happened to him after that. But yeah, I didn't know about this. I didn't think about this and stuff like that. But, we really don't know our history. We only go by what they taught us in public schools, and that can be considered dangerous because once you get to a particular age, you're supposed to, you know, research and look up things yourself. But it's just everybody think because we have read it from a book or learned it in school that it's facts, but it's not. So I just suggest everybody to do things like do your own independent research because it's necessary. But yeah, he just always had land. You know, he was always like the the house Nick. You know what I'm saying? And he was very known around town for beating his slaves and starving them and not giving them any water, all types of stuff. He was a maniac and stuff, but he only treated his family good, but as far as the people that he owned, he didn't have any respect for. But yeah, he lost that lawsuit against one of his former slaves. And he died when he was 70 years old. And I will not say rest in peace to this man because the world is a better place without him. But that's the end of the story. But yet, I just want to say something off the record. It's not easy doing these type of stuff. You know, it's not easy speaking your mind. It's not easy going against the grain and afraid of losing friends and this and that because you think differently. I just think that people is entitled to say what's over on their mind, just as long as you be consistent. You can't just speak on one thing and then you do the total opposite. And that makes you a hypocrite. That's what make a lot of people hypocrites because they go with what's trending and what's popular. And it's popular to want someone canceled. It's popular to ruin somebody's livelihood. It's popular to do a character assassination on people. And I'm not a bad guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a good dude. Even the people that hate my guts know I'm a good dude. But one thing I'm not going to do is be a coward and hide. And that's what a lot of people do. You know, I respect the people that keep their word. I respect people who about their business. I respect people who just want to just live their life. Because there's no harm into living your life. You know, you just going about your business. But it's just certain people just like to discourage people because they would never obtain their lifestyles. They would never be able to walk in their shoes because a lot of people couldn't walk in my shoes. You know, I'm a man, you know, and I stand on that. And I ain't never back down from anybody or anything and never pretended to be something that I wasn't. And there's a lot of masks that's falling off of people's faces right now because they like to bicker. They like drama. They be messy. You know, like I said, I can take a joke. I can take constructive criticism. But what I'm not going to take is hypocrisy. And I'm not going to take somebody, you know, making threats against me. You know, you think your name calling hurts my feelings? You know, I'm a grown man. What can you say about me that hasn't been told to me already? You know, I got a fan base. I got responsibilities. I got priorities. I don't got time to be arguing or bickering with people. If you don't understand it, then get the fuck out the way. And that's all I got to say about that. But yes, that includes tonight's episode. I'm sorry I had to rush it because I am hungry. So, but yeah, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And peace. I'm out. Have a good night.